Welcome, everyone. My name is Fatemeh Fazel. I'm PhD candidate at Leiden University. My thesis is around space data and using AI for these types of data. My supervisors are Professor Bernard Foyn and Professor Fons Feybeek from LIAX. Today, I will be discussing how machine learning techniques can enhance the analysis of hyperspectral imaging data. So, these intersection of AI and the spectral data analysis has significant implications for various fields. Here is my outlines, and I wanted to categorize in the three main sections. I provide an overview of my presentation structure on hyperspectral imaging and machine learning. We'll begin by addressing the basic what hyperspectral imaging. So we'll introduce SPCAM and the tool used for capturing these images and discuss spectral signatures that help identify materials. Next, we'll tackle the challenge of hyperspectral data, followed by fundamentals of machine learning. And this presentation will then dive into the types of machine learning, supervised and unsupervised techniques for exploring specific projects, like a project one on clusterings, a project two for the classification, and also we have one project about the moon surface analysis. And we'll also outline the spectral analysis workflow and conclude with some exciting applications for HSI and ML. At the first slide, I'm going to talk about what is hyperspectral imaging, and these types of imaging is a technology that captures a wide range of spectral data. Unlike traditional RGB image, which only provide three color bands. So HSI gives us hundreds of bands, allowing for detailed analysis of materials based on their spectral. As you can see in the right, this schematic, this schematic illustrates a complete hyperspectral imaging system featuring area camera positions on the top, capturing spatial data of the samples, a spectrograph connected below the camera, dispersing light into spectral components for analysis across 200 to 1000 nanometer. And halogen lamps, two lamps either side, providing uniform illumination to ensure accurate reflectance measurement. Also, as you can see, we have a sample of on a transportation plate, a red sample, on a gray motorized plate, moving left to right for line by line, and this technique's name is push broom. And we have a one motor at the base on the plate driving the motion for scanning. Also, we have a one computer to the right, connected for data acquisition, processing, and analysis also. In this slide, as you can see, the setup we worked on on an our Leiden optical battery for our bispectral has the following specification. This setup have a 150-watt halogen lamps in side and a 40 times 20 centimeter lab scanner. The SPCAM FX10 hyperspectral camera utilize push broom techniques. And also some extra information I put in the screen. And for example, this imager with 1024 pixels generate 230 spectral image across a wavelength range of 400 to 1000 nanometer with a spectral resolution of 5.5 nanometer. Okay, and this slide, by combining, we wanted to talk about these types of imaging by combining the benefits of digital imaging and the spectrometer. Hyperspectral imaging provide both spatial and spectral information about the objects physical and also chemical properties. Also, the spectral information allows for the identification and also classification of materials, and the spatial provides data on the materials distribution and aerial separations also. Hyperspectral imaging provide answer question concerning what means based on the spectrum, where based on the location, and also when. As you can see in this figure, at the left we have one RGB image and multispectral in the center. Imaging only provide discrete and discontinuous portions of the spectral range. But at the right, we have a hyperspectral imaging, as you can see, which yields the complete and continuous spectrum for each pixel of the image. And about the spectral signatures, we can see materials spectrum defines how much light the target emits, reflects, or transmits per wavelength. This image, just like show some spectral signatures, a simple example, just like fingerprints can be used to identify a person. Spectra can be used to identify different materials or different level of our image. And also these spectral signatures of different materials can be captured with spectral sensors. Okay, we talk about the hyperspectral and we talk about this imaging and also this instrument. Then, let's to talk about the challenge we faced with the hyperspectral data, which is crucial to understanding why machine learning is so valuable in this field. First, we have high dimensionality problems. Hyperspectral imaging captures hundreds, sometimes thousands of narrow spectral bands for each pixel, creating a massive data cube. And this richness is powerful, but it also overlaps the traditional analysis methods, leading to what's called curse dimensionality, and where the sheer number of features can degrade performance if not handled properly. The second problem or second challenge is noise. Noise is a major issue in the hyperspectral data, can be affected by atmospheric interference, sensor limitation, or environmental factors like the active and adaptive optics challenging in the data, introducing unwanted variation like the fluctuations we can see in the cube data. And the third one and final challenge we can categorize in these types of challenge. There is a computational complexity and storage demands. With so much data potentially, maybe gigabytes per image processing, and storing it requires significant computing power and also memory. As you can see in this graph, this is one of our projects, our first project's image. This graph, for instance, for example, represent just a small subset of the data, but imaging scaling these across thousands of a pixel and hundreds of bands. Okay, we talk about the hyperspectral and our challenge. Then we wanted to talk about the machine learning. And before exploring how machine learning helps us analysis hyperspectral data, let's start with a clear overview of what machine learning entails. To better understanding where machine learning fits, let's look this Venn diagram. Illustrate the hierarchical relationship between three concepts. The outermost ring in a blue, light blue, represent artificial intelligence. The broad field in compassing any techniques that enable a computer to mimic human intelligence. Within within that, the machine learning is a subset of AI, where algorithm learn from data to make prediction or decision also. And at the center, the innermost ring in a dark blue, deep learning, a specialized area for machine learning that used the neural network with many layers and with the complex models. And maybe when we have a lot of image, and we can use it from these types of AI. Now, let's take a closer look at machine learning and its relevance to hyperspectral imaging by exploring its main types and applications. As we discussed, machine learning is a power to analyze complex data, and you can see in this diagram, we categorize two types of machine learning, supervised and unsupervised. Also, I brought some examples of supervised and unsupervised learning. As you can see, classification or regression, we can use the supervised, but for clustering also we used in our project. This types is unsupervised learning. In this slide, we have a supervised learning concept which used label data. Data with the known outcomes to train algorithm. For example, in a hyperspectral imaging, we might label spectral signatures as a healthy crops or unhealthy crops. And the algorithm learned to classify new database on those examples. As you can see in this schematic figure, we have labels data by coloring, and we use some of algorithm and machine learning algorithm to classify in the output, as you can see. Some of the supervised learning is support vector meshing and random forest, XG boosting, K nearest neighbors, and these are we can use for fitting in our data when we wanted to measuring the rotations of these spectral data or like the star rotations or not. We want to classification user for a classification when we have labels data. Sorry. Next, we have unsupervised learning works with unable data. Sorry. Finding hidden pattern or structures without guidance. This is a useful for hyperspectral imaging when we don't have labels. Thin clustering pixels to discover natural groupings. Sorry. And as you can see here, we have some algorithm like a clustering k-mean, PCA, and autoencoder. And for example, for the PCA, reduce dimensionality, making it easier to visualization and also interpret of our database. Usually when we use the medical hyperspectral data, we needed to use these types of data. And as you can see in this schematic figure, for raw data, we don't have any labels or any information, the background of these data, but we put some of these algorithms like the clustering algorithm for unsupervised learning, and at the output, we can classify what happened in our data. Okay, we talk about the hyperspectral and we talk about the concept of machine learning. And then I wanted to talk about the feature extraction from the spectroscopies analysis via machine learning with some of our project. I want to bring these examples to better understanding what happened in the feature extraction. Okay. The project one, in this project, we use at this workflow diagram illustrate the purpose of analysis, analyzing hyperspectral data, for example, for meteorite sample. And for example, the purpose start with the input data, which is a meteorite samples, and second, the hyperspectral data, cube data, is then obtained from this sample, and the source various clustering models are then applied to the process, such as a k-mean, hierarchical Gaussian mixture model, and the spectral clusterings. Why we use multimodals? Because we wanted to compare, and when you use the machine learning concept, it is better to compare your data, your result and evaluation with the multimodals, because it is a help you to catch a better result and showing, okay, which one of these algorithms is useful for example, these types of data. And then the clustering result are used to calculate similarities between the sample, which are then validation using different materials like root mean square errors, RMSE. And the data processing steps include calibration, white, dark, and these are really important panels for our data processing for the hyperspectral data also. And finally, the validated model are used to predict the percentage of pyroxene and olivine mineral present in our meteorites. And we submitted this result in the MDPI, and we are under reviews and like that. Maybe till end of March we can publish this paper. The project 2, classification. This is another example of hyperspectral the imaging data and using the machine learning, which this classification model using olivine and pyroxene data with the support vector machine. And we use the classification. Why? Because we have the labels at this project. On the left side, we started with making training data from olivine and pyroxene data. We have 6 categories, each representing different mixture of olivine and pyroxene, labeled from 0 to 6. For example, olivine 100 has a 100% olivine and 0% pyroxene. Is a label 0, while pyroxene 100, we have a 100% pyroxene, 0% olivine, is a labeled 1, and so on up to olivine 90, pyroxene 10, labeled 6, and these are some our labels information. And also the data uh, preparation steps include converting the data to an array with the shape of 231 and 2, flattening the data to simplify and the standard data to ensure consistent scales, splitting into 80% for training and 20% for testing. The machine learning, this part is really important, and you needed to see your database shape, and you can categorize 70% or 30%, and it is completely dependent of your data. For testing and assigning a label from 0 to 6 for each category, to balance the data set, we make 2,000 copies of each categories. Moving to the right side, we create the SVM model using a linear kernel, and which is suitable for linear separable and data like ours data. After training the model, we evaluate its performance by calculating confusion metrics shown on here. And these confusion metrics visualize the model's prediction against the true labels. The x-axis represent the prediction, the predicted label, and the y-axis represent the true labels. The darker blue squared indicate higher count. Also, for instance, we see 398 correct prediction for olivine 100, label 0, and 397 for pyroxene 100, label 1, and 402 for olivine 10, pyroxene 90, label 2, and so on. This shows our model performance well, and with a very few misclassification, as most prediction align perfectly with the true labels. Also, we continue this project, and we had one samples, but we extend the samples to 9 samples, and as you can see in this diagram, and we can predict the percentage of exact percentage of olivine and pyroxene for the volcanic also samples. Our third project, mineralogy analysis of moon, and we had some mineralogy on the Earth by the volcanic samples, and we extend this project with the meteorite samples, and then we use the hyperspectral of imaging to mineralogy analysis of a moon surface. Focusing of this classification, where we delve into how hyperspectral imaging and the machine learning are applied to classify lunar surface features. On the left, you see our setup with the telescope and our remote sensing setups with the telescopes and SPCAM hyperspectral cameras, and capturing details data as shown on the top right in this heat map at a wavelength of 949.68 nanometer, with intensity ranging from 0 to 0.35. The bottom section display classification result. The RGB image provide a baseline view of the moon, while the five heat maps class 1 to through class 5 illustrate the model's confidence 0 to 0.8 in identifying distinct regions potentially corresponding to minerals or geology's features like craters. This project highlight the power of classification techniques in purpose in the processing hyperspectral data. And then this the continue of this third project classification, where we explore application of a machine learning also for the top left image shows a k-mean clustering with the 5 clusters. Visually segmentation the lunar surface into distinct regions with the colors indication, and as you can see the top right, the moon spectrum, we had some noise, and we needed to using some, for example, GMM or hierarchical some clusterings models to fitting and solving these problems also. And as you can see, the left bottom, and we can we have some metrics to evaluate our models, and as you can see, we had good and significant results of our classification. Okay, we talk about the free projects, for example, of the hyperspectral and the machine learning, but it is really important that the machine learning or AI applications, we needed to write roadmaps and a pipeline, a good pipeline for our projects. For example, the summarize of my pipelines for these three projects, as you can see in this slide. I have outlined a chart represent the workflow for recent projects, and I've conduct using hyperspectral imaging, and these charts generally illustrate the steps involved in a spectral analysis. And data acquisition is important for any types of the HSI. They include the spectral data collection and collaboration procedure, also pre-processing. And the raw data, we have a lots of errors, and we have a lots of information, and we needed to use a pre-processing techniques such as a noise reduction, baseline correction, or normalize, or are employed to ensure data integrity without distortion. And also, we have a feature extraction. Okay, we have some spectral data, like the hyperspectral data, and we needed to using some techniques to feature extraction, machine learning techniques to feature extraction. Okay, and this part is the heart of our project. This involves peak identification and the application of machine learning techniques such as correlation analysis and neural networks and quantity analysis. Key variable calculation are performed using methods like principal components analysis PCA and mathematical modeling, including matrix inversions also. And at the end, validation and testing. Cross validation methods and sample testing are used to evaluate model performance. And this is summarized of a spectral analysis workflow. Okay, and I will continue by some of others project. We collaborate at this project. One of them applications of HSI and ML. And as you can see, two project we use from the high speed spectrograph, and we use some machine learning techniques. For example, on the left side, we have a melanin measurement by high speed. This application focuses on analysis human skin to evaluate the amount of melanin presents, and like the mineralogies, and we use the B for space data. And the image shows hyperspectral data cube captures from hand using a hyperspectral camera, and the colorful visualization ranging from red to green to blue represent different melanin concentration across our skin. And we can use for medical, and these applications is good for medicals. And on the right, we can see high-speed applications for content assessment, and this application uses hyperspectral imaging to classify and assess fat content in a meat. And the hyperspectral imaging on the left shows a detailed spectral map for meat samples. And this is good for industries and also for the medical also. And as you can see, we have with the 87% accuracy to show, for example, these samples have a 30% fat and 87% fat. Other applications are we collaborate with these with their project is a hyperspectral imaging combined with the machine learning with the field hyperspectral imaging for remote sensing. These applications demonstrate how hyperspectral imaging is used to analyze large areas such as the landscape or seas or waters and like that. And we have almost 92% of accuracy for this project. And also I need to tell about this hyper spectral graph spectral ranging from 400 to 1000 nanometer helps to identify materials or vegetations or such like the plants and soil and like that. On the right, we used another application analysis plant has using hyperspectral imaging. And the images include an RGB reconstruction of a leaf from hyperspectral data recorded by high beam and a detailed hyperspectral imaging of the same leaf and also the hyperspectral imaging shown in vibrant colors and highlighting variations the leaf spectral signature, which can indicate health, stress, or others problems. And so the setup photos shows the high beam equipment, including the hyperspectral cameras, and in this system, and used to scan the leaf. Also, I need to talk about the price. We use the uh, high spin because this hyperspectral instrument is really cheap for using for the for example for the universities applications and research. This is our last applications we use from the HypeSim spectrograph for this uh, uh, project to read the text that has been obscure or damaged. On the left, hyperspectral imaging shows unclear text, while on the right, the machine learning classification reveals the hidden message, a clear F, by analyzing the spectral data, which the color scale indicating intensity across various wavelengths. Furthermore, we want to use these techniques in the maybe from the to next month. We want to use these techniques for reading the ancient Indonesian manuscript, and we have some samples, and we want to dive this project and use it from these techniques for that projects. My collaborators are Dr. Mushtaba Rao from Leiden University and from the Eurospace Hub, Professor Fons Feybeek from the LIAX, and Professor Bernard from Leiden University, Eurospace Hub, ESA, and also from the Starbach, and Dr. Michael de Dood. He's professor at the Leiden University and the Optical Lab, and we use from their facilities for our projects. And Dr. Peyman Soltani, he is a faculty of Twins University at the Holland, and he's starting with the medical side of hyperspectral projects. And also we are working, I have one master student, Christina Rocklush, and she is working for visualization of distribution of the pyroxene olivine in the moon surface. And yes, we have a good groups and with the power experience in science and also in the mathematics. Okay, and here I brought some um, publications optimizing the rotation period of action host star in the exoplanet, and I used also from some supervised machine learning like the random forest, k-nearest neighbors, and XGBoosting for this project, and we published this project last month. And as you can see, we can use to detect to predict of rotational periods by stellar activities. And other project we published almost 5 days ago, assessing galaxy rotation kinematic insight from the convolutional neural network of velocity variation, and uh, we used convolutional neural network to uh, uh, to classify of fast and low galaxy rotation by their kinematic and by their velocities, and also we had lots of labels for these projects. Summary. Okay. I talked about the hyperspectral imaging captures detailed spectral data using tools like SPK, uh, revealing hidden pattern and material signatures, and machine learning enhanced HSI analysis through supervised and unsupervised techniques. And some projects demonstrate clustering, project one classification, and convolutional neural network for our Galaxy project, and also using of a classification for lunar surface mapping. And we had applications include art restoration, mineralogies, Earth observation studies with potential for reading obscure or ancient text also. And challenging, we talk about the challenging of these types of data and high dimensionalities and competition complexities and like that, and how we can solve these problems. Also, we talk about the HSI and the ML together on look new insights across diverse field, paving the way for future research. And then thank you for your times and attentions. And I'm here to hear about your comments or a question.